So welcome back, friends. It is a very chilly 9 degrees on the homestead, and I am excited because we are in a winter storm warning. We have a winter storm warning with the radio flashing and all of the doom and gloom coming, and I couldn't be more excited. So it is, I know you folks in the Midwest, oh, 9 degrees, you know, it's like summertime for us. Well, you guys have a dry cold. It's a different deal. Your 80 below is like the same as our 33 here. It's just the way it is. So I was just finishing up all of the preparations. There's a lot to prepare. We're going to hunker down and hopefully survive this. It's one of my favorite things is getting ready for these big cataclysmic events, cataclysmic events. How about cataclysmic? I don't know if I've ever used that word before. I heard someone say it the other day and I thought it was, I got to work that in. That's really good. Let's start with a snowplow. I'll show you my preps. I'll show you how I do fuel storage and propane and chainsaw stuff and have all that stuff in place and why. And well, just come and hang out. I think you'll enjoy it. I had to decide this morning which snow removal implement I was going to use. We've got the 9-foot blade on the front. We've got the snow blower, unproven, and the broom, the hydraulic broom. This I know works. It's 9 foot. It's really nice. I like to help. We don't have a ton to plow here. You know, we just plow our area and make sure we're plowed to our wood piles and stuff. But we've got some older folks that are retired, and it's tougher for them. So we make sure, actually the real Martian and I make sure that we kind of go around and see that they're okay and keep them plowed out as well. So it's really great for that. It's really great for Jeff's driveway because you can roll up, you know, one side, dump it off, and then come back. And you actually with a 9-foot plow, when it's turned, it's going to be less than that. But you can basically get one car through there. So if you go back, you can do huge. So I know it works. It's great. This is one of the main reasons why I wanted to get organized and why we cleaned so much out of the shop is to be able to have an area to bring the vehicles on. Because speaking of vehicles, you guys have been asking. So I got this from Mrs. W this year. It's a new 4Runner TRD. And if we liked it, I'll give you my quick 60-second review on the 2018 Toyota 4Runner TRD. It is amazing in every aspect except for the engine. I hate the engine. It does, I think what it is that I've got the EcoBoost twin turbo 3.5 in my adventure van. That is like the best engine ever made. And I'm used to that. And when I get in this, it's like you want to go up the hill and you're like, okay, you're pushing. It's like, come on, man, are we ever going to go? I mean, it is an absolute dog. Is it adequate? Yeah, it's adequate, but it's so boring and uninspiring. It has no snap. It has no life. It's just the opposite of like the EcoBoost. So apart from that, it's fabulous. So fuels and generators. So I guess our whole homestead runs off of 3 things: propane, gasoline, and diesel. Diesel for the tractor, gasoline for the cars and the small engines, and then propane is the only thing we use that for is for our gas range. If that were to go down, we've got, other ways, we can cook on the wood stove or different things, but that's the primary thing. So starting with diesel, I'll show you how I store and how much and why. This is my 60-gallon diesel tank right here that I keep on a pallet jack on a pallet just so I can move it around. I like to pull the tractor in, roll this around and then pump it in. Just a manual hand crank pump. There's 15 more gallons on the top I keep right there, and I keep another 30 or 40 or so back there on the shelves. So the nice thing about diesel or kerosene is it keeps a long time. It doesn't go bad like gasoline is. It's a little bit easier to store and you can store it. So worst case scenario, if you had problems with vehicles or anything like that, you can take a tractor to town, or you can take a tractor that will go places that a lot of 4-wheel drives won't if you needed to have a medical emergency or something. So making sure you have all that fuel on board and everything. If you needed to use it as a generator or snow removal or whatever, it's important to have that, because getting to town, if we're snowed in here for a week, 10 days, it's just not going to be an option. So I need to be able to, provide for those logistics. When it comes to gasoline, pretty much the same thing. I try to keep about 100 gallons of gas on the homestead. That'll ebb and flow, down to 75 or stuff as I use it, non-ethanol fuel with a stabilizer. Don't use normal fuel. It'll gunk up everything. It doesn't store very long. How long can you keep gas? I'm not a scientist, but I would say from my experience, inside of 2 years. 18 months would be better. Is it going to work after 2 years? Probably, but it's not very fresh and you might have some problems with some engines. So make sure you keep rotating it through. We have enough small engines, and now with the dirt bikes and all of that, we burn through quite a bit of that gas. So there's no problem of it going stale around here. Generators are really important. We lose power all the time because we live in the forest, and all the power lines are overhead. One tree comes down, one branch, no power because it only feeds from one direction. So power. So I have two generators. I have a Honda 2000 and a Honda 5000, bigger one. I usually just use this one because we're just feeding, I got a couple circuits wired in, you know. So I am very, very diligent about maintenance on these engines. Let's see, I did a service on them in the fall. Let's see if they are going to start with the stabilized gas in them. Ready? So how many pulls are you guessing? I'm guessing on the 2000, 5. Here we go. Choke on. Let it warm up here a little bit. That's pretty amazing, isn't it? That's why we buy Honda right there. 1 pull on an engine that's got a bazillion hours on it. How about this big boy here, the 5000? This is an 11 horsepower engine. Fuel on. How many pulls? What are you thinking? Choke on. I'm going to say 6. 6? Oh, that's 11 horses, heavy engine. Oh, there it was. Pretty good. All right, so when you're turning your engines off, turn off the fuel and let them run, and let the fuel run out. That way it gets it out of the carburetor and keeps it dry, and you'll have less starting problems. All right, the last one here, let's double check the chainsaw. I can tell you how many pulls this will take. It'll be 1, 2, 3, set the choke, pull, so it'll be 5 like it always is, or 4.5, you know, that type of thing, because it's German and it's predictable. There's nothing more predictable than a steel chainsaw. It's very German in that way, isn't it? It's like, you can imagine the German guy, he wakes up in the morning and I get up at exactly 5 o'clock and I put my left shoe on first and my right shoe, and then I make my schnitzel. You know how they are, right? So apparently, not being really a transcontinental man or a very international man, I have heard, because I'm married to my wife is just the opposite, that the Germans are the most despised folk in Europe. Did you know that? Because we, as Americans, we don't pay any attention to you guys in Europe. I'm sorry, we're so self-absorbed with our being the center of the universe here that we don't really care what happens in Europe. But I have heard that the Germans are indeed among the most despised of the people in the Europa. And you know why? Oh, I've been there, I can tell you. I went to Germany. I got 3 speeding tickets on the Autobahn. I have to tell you about that sometime. But apparently, when they go on vacation, and you have a public beach area, folks like to go, because when you live in the northern countries and you need to get some sun, so they go down to Spain or wherever it is, these public beaches. The Germans get up at some ungodly hour, 3 o'clock in the morning, and they go out on the beach and they lay all their towels out and they take up all the prime real estate, and then they leave. And so when the normal folk come down after having, as you do on a breakfast, getting up a little bit later and going and having a croissant or whatever it is that you eat over there and some strong coffee, you go down there and behold, the Germans have completely invaded and occupied the entire beach with their beach towels. And they're not even there, most of them. So you can't do that, Germany. If you want to be loved and you want to get along with your fellow countrymen and neighbors, you got to stop doing that. I'm sorry, Germany. We'll pick on the French next time. Okay, let's see. How predictable are we? 3 and then 1. 1, 2, 3. Yeah, and then 1. And so the final, of course, is the propane. I've got 2 of these. I don't know what these are, 30 gallons, 35 gallons or so. And then I've got probably half a dozen or so of the 6-gallon ones. I like to have those. It's nice not having them all in one tank. We had a neighbor one time that had bought their whole 2-year supply of propane. They got this huge tank. Well, into the winter, like January, the pop-off valve or something failed and the whole thing vented out into the atmosphere and they lost everything, hundreds of dollars in money, and they were totally in trouble because they were snowed in. There was no way to bring propane back up into it. So make sure if you do that, if you're going off grid or want to be independent, separate those into 2 tanks. And that way if one fails, you'll have the other one. So I just do the little tanks because all we're running is the gas range, right? I forgot to mention why the power saw. Well, of course we live in the forest, and of course as when Murphy strikes, if you had a problem, your neighbor's wife calls up and her husband's having a heart attack or something, you go over there and there's a tree across the road because the winds they're forecasting for tonight are like 60 miles an hour continuous. And when you have that in the forest, they come down all across the road. So you have to have a saw and a real saw to do it. I have 2. I've got the other one fired up too and back for a backup saw just in case. But I guess the way I look at it up here is that the reason folks are so close in the country, if you don't know this, it's really the case. We're closer with our neighbors than we've been with any neighbors we've ever had, and they live miles away. We see them, we're in each other's homes, and we kind of know what's going on with them. And I think what it is, and it may be a little self-serving, but you know that you might need to rely upon them for a life or death situation. And everyone knows that. And so everyone makes sure that we keep in touch and know what's going on, and so we can help one another out. It gives you a peace and a security knowing that you can call someone that would give you a hand and you're not just completely on your own. And then finally I bring the cart out here with a load of firewood in kindling because this wood stove, this double barrel wood stove is never going to heat this space. But when it's super cold, and for some reason when you're plowing snow with tractors, things just break. I've never had so many problems with equipment. And, maybe it's because you can't see stuff or you're putting such a strain on it, but it just seems like there's always a problem. And to be able to come in and to start up the wood stove, and I pre-stack everything with the kindling pre-loaded with the wood so I can just touch it with a match and get it going, so I don't have to worry about it in the middle of the night. It's really nice if you're working on something, you can kind of cozy up next to the stove, and just the radiant heat you get from it makes it really nice. So I think we're pretty well set. Everything is in place and ready to go. If you can't tell already, I get so excited for these big storms. I love the whole process. I love making the plans and making sure they've thinking about what am I going to need and having everything done. And where I can close the doors in a big winter and the shutters and shutter the house and watch the big storm roll in from the north and the snow pile up and know that your family's going to be provided for. It is very edifying for me as a man and as a husband to be in a warm home and with the elements and everything raging outside, and your infant daughter and your son, reading and sitting by the wood stove and the family together, and a wood stove really is the heart of a home. It is fills me with a pride and a sense of purpose that is unparalleled in this world. Sometimes I feel sorry for folks who don't have family, and it's not for everyone. I understand that, and there's circumstances, and some people are not able to have families, but I feel sad for the folks that make the choices wrongly, I think, sometime to take that on that mantle and that responsibility. I honestly believe for most folks, myself would fall into this camp. You can't move on to the next level of life and wisdom and understanding until you see the world through your eyes in looking at your own children, raising your own children, and that whole experience that comes along with it. It's like one of those things where 2 people have shared an experience, and where maybe it was a dangerous one, or you can kind of look at one another, and when it comes up and just nod, because you both know you've been there before, you understand it. That is hard to convey to folks who haven't had the families. Dog moms. I'm going to stay away from that. All right. There's chicken moms now. Have you seen the chicken moms? That's even sadder. That is really, really sad. Why I bring that up is that there is that inherent desire that God has put into women, that nurturing desire. It's intended to go to their children and to their families. And when there isn't anywhere for it to go, it's got to go somewhere because it's powerful and it's real. And when you see it turned onto, instead of onto animals and weird things, and how it's sad. It's sad. Yeah, we're all in this together. We're all under attack. So Good time to click the thumbs up if you haven't already. I can see the storm clouds coming in from the north, and the little flakes are starting to flutter and come down, and I feel good. Mrs. W went into town yesterday and stocked up on food supplies and things, but we can hold out here for a long time. It's kind of fun to think about it. We've got a good year's supply with the food in the basement, and we've got, as I said, firewood for 10 years and everything you need. You run out of food anyway, you got a rifle and a few thousand rounds of ammunition, you know, food comes pretty easy up here. So it's a good feeling. I like the independence, and that's one of the main reasons why I enjoy this lifestyle so much. So thanks for watching. I'll do frequent updates, and hopefully we'll see you in the next video.